All right, here we are. Prop the mic, PTM on the first day of no more NBA. It's just full-time WNBA from here on out. Let me give the date, Tuesday, June 13th, 2023. How are we feeling after the end of NBA season, a Nuggets championship? Any thoughts, Dave?
Well, I'll start with my opinion of last night's game. As a basketball purist, I think that was one of the worst games I've ever watched. It was just a slugfest. Everybody was playing sloppy, a lot of turnovers, but we survived. I think we put out 6 picks on Twitter. I think we went 3-3, which honestly, considering they were all overs, I'll take that for a sloppy game.
Yeah.
Right. More broadly, good for the Nuggets, right? I think they were the best team in the league this year, so
Yeah.
good to see them take care of business. And Jokic was amazing. So happy for the Nuggets. Happy for MPJ finally getting his game back.
With like the sigh of relief he had when that three finally went through. I don't know, it was at the third quarter or when that was. But it was definitely in the second half. After I think the first 3 maybe missed. It was just like, what's going on here? And then he was just like, he just held the arm up for like a minute after that. So it probably felt amazing. But yeah, big rebounding game from him. We hit both of those, so that was nice. And yeah, congratulations, Denver.
Yeah, so great NBA season. And we're gonna still keep covering the NBA through the off season. There's a couple things. You do have the NBA Summer League, which I think kicks off the first week of July. They've got a couple games in Sacramento where Victor Wemby will be given his first appearance. Then off to Vegas is where most of the Summer League's held. You got the NBA Draft. Actually, I think comes even before that. And
next week,
and then there's also some I think it's World Cup or basketball as well this summer. So that'll be kind of exciting to follow in August. And then then we'll be back to NBA come October.
Maybe a little NFL in there, possibly.
Yeah,
say
exactly.
Yeah.
So
all right,
all right. So let's dive into the WNBA tonight. We've got 3 games. So you ready?
I'm ready. Let's fire away.
Okay, so we start off with the Mystics at the Fever. Mystics are 5-3 on the season. Fever are 2-6. The Fever are getting about 5 points at home. Total is 157.5. So just a couple high level stats. In terms of scoring, the Mystics are 11th in the league, so one of the worst scoring teams, but the number 1 defense in the league. So that's some polar opposites on that side. Middle of the pack on rebounding, number 6. Fever, number 8 in the league in scoring, number 12th in defense, and number 5 in rebounding. So got kind of like a bad offensive team. Actually, both offenses are pretty bad. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about overplays in this game. So
yeah.
All right. So who do you like in terms of matchups here?
Just a couple popping out here. Forwards against Indiana have a nice matchup. So I think we can look to Shakira Austin and Elena in this game. And then just one on the other side, guards not in a good matchup against Washington. Washington very good defensively overall in general, but specifically against guards. So there we can look on a possible fade on Kelsey Mitchell, Erica Wheeler, perhaps. So that's what we're looking at for matchups.
All right, that sounds consistent with what I saw. Who's your favorite play?
I know you're just talking about be careful with some of the overs on points, but I think the one I locked in on here was Shakira Austin over 14.5 points. It's minus 114 on FanDuel. She's only done this in 3 of 8 games this season. However, all 3 games where she went over were on the road. She's 3 for 4 on the road going over this line. And I like the forwards. So Deladon is like a forward/guard. Shakira Austin is like your full categorization at forward. So that makes me lean that way a little bit more. But forwards against Indiana, averaging 16.4 points per game this season when playing 20 plus minutes. So I think this shapes up well for her to have a nice game here.
All right. Just pulling up her chart. I was looking at her. I was a little, turned away by the
her minutes have been trending up.
Yes.
Which was nice. She started this season at like 25, 26. It's been a steady climb. She's getting like 31 minutes a game now, consistently. So I thought that was nice.
Yeah. She's coming off of an 11-point game against Seattle, where Deladon didn't play. So
Mm.
I would have expected her to actually score more in the absence of Elena Deladon,
Mm-hmm.
but she did not. But that's okay because Deladon is back tonight
Mm-hmm.
from I think it was like a neck injury, so or neck stiffness. So okay, so that makes sense. What about Deladon? I saw 19 and a half points, one place, 20 and a half points, another place. You like either of those?
Yeah, I think so. I looked at it. I mean, she's gotten there 3 times. This 3 of 7 this season. It was in the middle of the season. I didn't like the so on Friday she played 26 minutes. Um, but I guess was that did she get hurt in that game and then she missed the game after that?
She definitely missed the game after that, but I don't know if she came out of that game early. But
Gotcha.
yes, definitely less minutes.
Okay.
But yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
I,
I wasn't on her. I leaned Austin here. So
yeah, I think 20 and a half points is a lot for her. What I preferred for her was actually 6.5 rebounds tonight.
okay.
She averages about 6.3 rebounds on the season, but I was just looking at some other forwards. I do consider her more of a forward. She's pretty
Mm-hmm.
tall and she plays
Yeah.
predominantly inside. Kind of more of a jump shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Alyssa Thomas put up 11 and 17 rebounds against the Fever. Collier put up 14. Stewart 12. Asia Wilson 10, and Bonner 7. So you got some really good point scoring with
Mm-hmm.
respect to against the Fever. You also have some pretty good rebounding. Averages maybe not, but there are some standout games. So those numbers I just threw out are about a 15 to 20% lift over what those players actually average. So I'm just taking her 6.3 rebounds, saying she's going to probably get a 15% lift on top of that tonight. That puts her somewhere between 7 or 8 rebounds tonight, and her line is 6.5. So I like that one for tonight.
That's nice. Yeah, I can get behind that one.
Okay. And then what about on the Fever side? You got anybody there?
On the Fever side, so it was the two guards, Mitchell and Wheeler, that I think we can look on a fade here. Um, Wheeler, I like the under 10 and a half points, but I noticed it's not on that was only on Prize Pick, so I guess I'd rather not. You know, I like giving out picks that are just on that are available on FanDuel or DK. So
Yeah, multiple books. Yeah.
yeah. I have a lean on the Kelsey Mitchell under 16 and a half points, but no, not really. No.
All right. Um, okay, so we'll probably pass on those, but keep an eye on those. Those could be good fades, especially if they get released on the main books. Um, what about Nelissa Smith? 10.5 rebounds. Did you look at that tonight?
I did not. No.
All right. I what I liked is she's had really consistent
Mm,
rebounding games.
yeah.
She's had 12 rebounds or more in every game that she's played 30 plus minutes. So
Hmm.
this is a 5 point spread. I see this, especially being at home for the Fever, a relatively young
Hmm.
team. I see this being a close game tonight, and I see her, getting 30 plus minutes, putting up, 11, 12, maybe more rebounds
Yeah.
tonight.
That is
The
some
games,
consistency there. I like that. Yeah.
yeah, and she put up, what really impressed me is she put up 12 against New York, 12 against Atlanta, and 15 against Connecticut. Those are
Mm,
all top five rebounding teams in the league.
hmm.
So I think she's got in a good position here tonight to continue that trend.
And against New York and Connecticut, 5 and 4 offensive rebounds too. That's nice. Yeah.
Right. So I think that's a sneaky one. It didn't really pop out from a matchup standpoint, but from a consistency standpoint,
Yeah.
she's been pretty
Nice
good.
find. Yeah.
I also think 157.5 point game, not a particularly high scoring game. Number
Hmm.
11th offense going up against the number 8th offense. There's going to be a lot of missed shots in this game. So I think a lot of rebounding opportunities.
All right.
All right.
Nice.
All right,
Yep.
let's move on to the second game. We got the Dream, who are 2-5, going up against the Liberty, 6-2. Liberty were -11. Total was 170.5. I think that's come down a little bit. Might be -10 now.
Mm,
Ionescu was a game time decision, questionable. I think she's been upgraded to doubtful. So it looks like she's going to be out of this game,
okay.
which obviously has big implications for
Yeah. She plays
Liberty.
big minutes. Right?
The Dream are number 4th overall in scoring, 9th in defense, 2nd in rebounding, whereas the Liberty are 3rd overall in scoring, 4th in defense, 2nd in rebounding, tied for 2nd in
Mm,
rebounding. So two pretty good rebounding teams. We do have another data point. These two teams played on, I think it was Friday. The
hmm.
Liberty crushed them 106-83. That was a game where Ionescu scored 37 points. Stewart had 25 points and 9 rebounds.
Hmm.
And Vandersloot, who consistently leads the league in assists, is put up 11 assists again in that game. So,
Nice.
so obviously different matchup if Ionescu's out, but what do you like in this one?
So it's a little surprising that Atlanta, would you say, ninth ranked defense?
Yeah, ninth overall in D.
So they actually come out. So great matchup for forwards. So I think you can look at Stewie here as a good matchup. But on the other end, like not good matchups for centers and guards, like fade worthy spots for sure here.
Yeah.
So I think we can look at a fade on Jonquel Jones here. I like that quite a bit. Let's just get into that now, and then I'll come back to the other matchup.
Good.
So I actually liked her under on rebounds and also points. The rebounds, under 8.5 rebounds, minus 125. She's done this in no games this season. She's never had 9. She has not had 9 rebounds in a game this season. Her minutes did tick up to 27 in the last game, so it's giving me a little pause there because she was at minus under 20 points, and then she got to 21 the 2 games prior, and then 27 the last game. So not I don't know specifically why. So that's just giving me a little pause there, but I do like this. It's under 8.5 rebounds, minus 125 for something she's not done this season in a fade worthy matchup here. I like it. And then I also like her under 12.5 points, minus 114 on FanDuel. She's only done that in 1 of 8 games this season. And also, like I said, a nice fade worthy spot. So were you looking at her?
Yes, I saw. I was on the points as well. I just liked the low hit rate, and what I also liked, her rebounds were up. The last 2 games.
Yeah,
and she had 8 rebounds against Dallas in 27 minutes.
Yeah,
but her points were not right. She only had 8 points in 27 minutes against Dallas. Dallas has got definitely got some good defensive weapons to put up against her, but I do like the fade. I'm a little concerned, just because we don't really have a good data point for how this team will play without Ionescu. That's a lot of shots that are going to get distributed somewhere else. I think Stewart will probably take at least half of those, and I think maybe even Vandersloot, who doesn't usually shoot very much, she might shoot a bit more tonight. But they could also focus a little bit more on feeding Jones down the paint. But regardless, I think it's a good spot. Under 12.5 points is what I liked. So we'll go with that.
Just another thing to note here. So the line you'll see on props.cash for rebounds is 7.5, and that's on Prize Picks, but on FanDuel it's actually 8.5. So just another. So the 8.5 is minus 125. Just something to note there.
Good call.
Yeah.
All right, cool. And what about Stewart tonight? You said obviously really good spot with forwards. Her line is very high. I think it was 24.5 or 25.5.
I've seen on FanDuel's 25.5, I believe. I think on Prize Picks 26.5. It's kind of high. I don't know. I couldn't. The matchup is there. One of the better matchups on the board. And you're probably, I don't know if I'm overthinking it or just being too cautious. I mean, I guess without Sabrina playing, I mean, that's more usage for Stewie here. So I don't know. Were you feeling it?
I don't love the line. What I did look at, I looked at how because Stewart's never played a game without Ionescu, right? It's early in the season. Both are she's new to the team, so I just looked at the 3 games where Ionescu shot the lowest number of shots, which meant it was kind of the closest equivalent to her not playing. So there were 3 games where she shot under 10 shots. The first game was against Indy. She scored 45 points, Stewie. So that was her season high. The next 2 she scored 19 and 20. So it's a mixed bag. So she could have one of these nights where she just completely goes off. I think it's a good play. I mean, she's just really she's top 1 or 2 player in the league, right? So I think in the absence of a teammate, she's going to step up. So I think it's a good play.
And she had 25 on Friday against them, right, in Atlanta. So
exactly
25.5. And now without Ionescu, I think it's probably a good spot.
Yeah, and this is a 170 point total. It's the largest total of the game, right? So there's going to be a lot of scoring tonight.
Yeah.
All right. Who else do you like in this one?
So you have let's stay on New York side here. Guards against Atlanta, also not in a great spot. So Laney and Vandersloot, I think we can look at. Laney is only on Prize Pick, so we'll stay off of her. But Vandersloot is a nice potential fade here. But I'd like it better if I don't like with Sabrina being out. What that's going to do and not having any history to look at. So I'm staying off, though. I don't mind her possibly an under on the point line, 12.5 points. She only had 6 in that game against Atlanta, so I thought that was nice. But also, this is another one I believe was not on FanDuel. This was Prize Picks only, so I didn't dig too
Yeah.
hard just because it wasn't a straight line.
Okay. Yeah, I would like. I kind of liked her assists at 9.5 just because she put up 11 in the previous matchup.
Yeah.
But I also don't know if she's going to turn more into an offensive weapon with Ionescu out. So I would say lay off of that given the uncertainty. Unless you know Ionescu is doubtful, she could play, but you know if she does, then she could be a good fade. Otherwise, I would lay off of that.
Yeah.
All right, and then what about on the Atlanta side?
On the Atlanta side, you have a nice matchup here for guards against the Liberty. So you have you have Howard and Gray on Atlanta, who are both in good matchups here. I think probably even more so, you would say, right? Without Ionescu there, right? I think that opens up. I think there'll be, you know, even worse defensively here. So I ended up landing on Gray. I think both are good. Both are 16.5 points. Same minus 114. I went with Gray over 16.5. She's done this in 4 of her last 6 games. She had 17 against Liberty on Friday. So given the matchup and you know the loss of Ionescu for the Liberty, I think this is bodes well for Gray. Though I'll pick Gray and then Howard will be the one that goes over. But that's my lean.
Yeah, again, I think it's a good lean. Like you said, I don't think there's enough to tell you that it's a great pick, but she's very consistent, right? Throwing the first game of the season out because I actually think everybody came out slow to start the season. She's put up 26, then 19, 13, 16, 17, and 18. So she really doesn't have bad games. Her lowest scoring game other than that first game was 13 points. So I think she's going to get probably a minimum of 14, 15 points tonight, just whether or not she'll push through to get that 17.
And I don't know why. I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
I don't know why her to start the season, she had her 3-point attempts were high. She had 5, 6, and 6 to start the season, and then the subsequent 4 games only 1, 2, 2, and 1. I'm not sure why the drop off there, but yeah, I'd like it if maybe she's I'd love to see a 6 attempt night out of her here. Maybe with some poor defense, she can get back up to those shooting totals. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's the difference between her scoring, 17 and like 20. So
yeah, exactly.
All right, cool. All right, let's. You got anybody else on this one, or ready to move on?
The only other one, forwards against New York. Nice fade-worthy spot here. So I think you could look to. I didn't end up on a pick here as well, but Cheyenne Parker. I think she's in a fade-worthy spot here. Though she's been performing pretty well. She had 14 rebounds the last game against Connecticut, though she only had 7 against New York. So, yeah, I'm staying away from it.
All right. Yeah, I don't really have an opinion on that, so we'll keep moving.
Yeah.
All right, last game we got the Storm, 1-6, going up against the Mercury, 2-5. Mercury -6 at home, totals 161. So not 2 teams that aren't very good. I would say the Mercury are definitely a better team, but they seem to run out of gas. The Mercury, right? They seem to be in games and then kind of fall apart in the end of the games. The Storm are the lowest offensive scoring team in the league, number 8 in defense, number 10 in rebounding. So they don't really do anything well. Mercury are 7th in scoring, 10th in defense, and 12th in rebounding, which was kind of surprising to me, given that they have Griner.
Yeah.
But she's not been rebounding particularly great the last 3 games. So we'll talk about her in a second.
Okay.
All right. So what's popping out for you on this one?
Only one thing really. Both teams are pretty good against centers. So I think you have 2 fade spots here for centers on both sides. So that's Griner and Magbegor. Sorry. I've been practicing that one. I still messed it up. So let's start. That was really the only thing I had. You have a decent matchup for forwards against Phoenix, but I didn't land on anything there. So let's just stick with Ezzy and Griner here. Griner, I liked her under 22.5 points, -114. Centers are averaging 11 points per game against Seattle. I think that's due to Ezzy's really good defense. So I think we got a nice spot here, though. She did have 29 in her last outing against Indiana. They are a much worse defensive team against center. So I think this is a good spot here to fade Griner.
Yeah, and if you noticed, I think it was DraftKings has a promo up today. Stewart 20 points, Griner 20 points.
Hmm.
I think I don't know what it was, probably like plus 100. So
Hmm.
usually when they put those promos up, you got to look at one of the legs as like a guarantee, and the other one as like
Yeah,
as a trap.
the sneaky, yes, the
But
trap.
I
Yes.
also thought that the Griner one, especially given her recent scoring,
Hmm.
looked like an obvious play. But when you dived into the matchup, this is not
Yeah.
a great matchup for her. So I actually would lay off of that play right there.
Hmm.
Okay, yeah,
Nice.
I like that. And then Ezzy, you like her under 13.5 points? Is that what you like?
Yeah. Yeah. You were on it too?
Yeah, yeah. I stayed away from Griner just given her recency in scoring. I was
Hmm.
contemplating under her rebounds actually because she's only put up 4, 5, and 6 rebounds of late.
Hmm.
But yeah, I was on Ezzy under 13.5 points. She only cleared this line in 3 of 7. Um, she gets pretty close, so
Yeah.
it'll probably be one to bet and not watch the game. But opposing centers, like you said, are scoring like 10.5 points against Griner.
Yeah.
Um, she's just
Yeah.
got an ability to like make you take a bad shot. So I think this is a bad matchup for her.
I updated the model after you probably looked at it this morning. It's actually below 10 points, 9.6
Below 10
points on the
points.
season. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty good matchup here. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Yeah. So we're on that together. I like that one. Like I said, particularly good for a game where you're not going to watch. Um,
Yes, we like
what
those
about Jewel
unders in the
Lloyd
late games.
tonight?
I didn't look
Um,
at her. I didn't look at her.
yeah, I think guards are a decent matchup against the Mercury,
Hmm.
but I'm scared by that 25.5 point line. It's
Yeah.
25.5, some places 26.5. I think she's only
26.
cleared that in 2 of 6 games this year.
Hmm.
What's amazing is she's attempting like 22 field goal attempts a game,
Wow.
just
Wow.
shooting the ball. But I watched a little bit of her last game. Her shot selection is just horrendous. Like she's
Mm.
definitely forcing it. I think she had some like really early season success in putting up huge games, and
Yeah.
now I think she's kind of not being as selective on her
That's
shots.
brutal. 5 for 18, 6 for 22 the last 2 games. That is the
Yeah.
opposite of efficient. Yeah.
So I think she doesn't have the weapons around her to keep the opposing team off of her. So I think she will probably go through this cycle all season where she has some huge games and then has
Hmm.
like a bunch of off games. So I think she's not worth fading, but she's also not worth playing. So I would pass on that. Um, what about Tarasi? Over 17.5 points, minus 115. You like that one at all?
I didn't. It wasn't a matchup that was popping out, so I didn't really look into it too much. What do you got for me?
No, she's 4 of her last 5 games. And I don't have a lot of data to support it, but I just think despite it not being a matchup that pops off, I think she's in a good spot tonight against a Seattle team that really doesn't play very good defense. So
Yeah. Yeah, looks good. I mean, just getting there, but yeah, 4 of her last 5 looks good. I heard some stat that besides Jewel and Ezzy, I don't think any other Seattle player is like averaging more than 20 minutes a game. So they just have like just a lot of pieces that they're rotating in and out, and no real starting 5. So yeah, it doesn't bode well for playing good defense. But
yeah, they're definitely in a rebuild mode. They got
yeah,
obviously a couple good pieces there, but
no,
they're definitely absent of probably a third and fourth option there. So
yeah.
all right, so I think that covers it. Anything else to add?
No, I think that's it. Nice 3-game slate to get us back into the solo WNBA season. So I'm looking forward to it. And I don't know, you got anything else?
No,
No. All right, let's lock in these bets and make some money. Enjoy.
let's do it.